Here we are, Janelle.
Hola.
It was her birthday, by the way, over the weekend.
Yeah, it was super fun.
42. In case you were wondering, 42.
If you flip it, I'm 24.
It's true.
Oh my God.
And if you flip mine, I'm 14. So, by the way, if you enjoy these discussions, like hanging with us on overtime, especially now during this pandemic, don't forget, like, share.
Tell your friends.
Tell your mom.
Hello. Yeah, your mom. She wants to hear this one.
Does she? But yeah, when you like and share and comment, we love hearing from you. Janelle wants to Facebook stalk you, comment on your pictures. She always says nice things, don't worry.
I ran out of coffee.
And part of it's because she spilled coffee all over everything last week. If you missed that, look back a few episodes ago. I think it was Wednesday last week. Dumped coffee everywhere.
It was so sad.
So today we're talking about...
Serene says I look beautiful today. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I'm chopped liver.
I love you, Serene. Meredith.
Nobody ever says nice things to me. They always just say to
Meredith
you.
misses us. Okay, go ahead. Go.
So, okay, I'm acting needy. Because I am.
Yes. And calm down. Because we get, we're friends.
Of course we're friends.
Okay.
But we're having a different twist on a Mother's Day discussion because I think part of the because on this is because Janelle's family, my family, has reached an interesting phase where the majority of our children in both families are of an age where they could put together a Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah.
With Dad's help.
Yeah.
But they could take the mantle of Mother's Day and run with it.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got 4 kids in that range. I got 3.
Yeah.
I texted my 3 this morning. Sarah, if you're watching, just close your ears.
Yeah.
I said, I love you, but you better not forget it's Mother's Day this weekend. Get planning. I'll help you with whatever you need.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Serene says, I love you always, Janelle. You're okay too, Brian.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
I love you, Serene. Go ahead.
She's very lovable, though, isn't she? She's great.
Go ahead.
So, the question being, especially as the kids get older, who's primarily responsible for Mother's Day? Is it children or husbands? Now, let me say clearly at the outset, because I don't think I did this well on the air as much.
Mm-hmm.
I by no means am implying, in my position on this, that husbands should disengage from Mother's Day. Not at all. They should fully acknowledge Mother's Day, show appreciation to their wife for being the mother of their children on Mother's Day. They shouldn't look at her and say, well, if it's not any good, it's the kid's fault this year. I mean, they shouldn't say anything cold or callous like that. But it would be my opinion that since it's Mother's Day, not Wife's Day, as the kids get older, increasingly the burden of Mother's Day, the burden of planning, I'll call it, burden's the wrong word, the responsibility of Mother's Day should increasingly fall on the children and less on the father, so that at the end, when the kids have reached teenage years, if you're doing it right, husband maybe gets a card, maybe just smiles at his wife, looks her in the eye and says, I love you so much, thank you for mothering our children. I can't wait for you to see what the kids plan for you today. Like, that to me is Mother's Day. Janelle, on the other hand, has a totally different perspective.
No, I
don't. No, she doesn't.
Because now I think about it, and when my husband does an awesome job at celebrating me and being thankful, making my Mother's Day great, and the kids are like amazing. They actually go bike riding and get me the gifts, or they always find a way. They've been doing this for years, independent of their dad and then whatever. But Len also, like, it's always me and his mom together, spend the day together, and it becomes a big family thing. So now that you described it that way, I look at his dad, Pastor Neville's, and he's sitting back because they handle business, right? So I get it. It should become that way. But I don't think, and I never see Len doing this, that he's like, well, that's, they're your kids, so eventually it's going to become their thing, because independent of the children, if God forbid that you erase the kids, I am still the mother of his kids, and he's still thankful. There are things that we lived together and experiences we had together that make him very much appreciate, like, wow, we've gone through this, and I'm so thankful for what you've contributed to my vision of a family, of my dream of having a big family, whatever it is. His gratitude on Mother's Day to me is independent of the kids.
And it's, I mean, the way
I'm
you
not
described
just
it,
his wife. I am also the mother of his children.
of course. The way you described it on the air, though, it sounds to me like there isn't a balance at all in terms of scale. Like, as kids get older, I'm saying the responsibility weighs on the kids.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds to me like your expectation, which is you, it's fine, it's not me. Your expectation is that the kids and your husband make a big deal out of Mother's Day, together and separately. Is that not true?
Most of the times they plan stuff together.
Well, but that's what I'm trying to understand. I think that's the difference between us. Like, I would say I don't think a husband needs to make it a big deal as the kids get older. He needs to acknowledge it, make it clear he appreciates it, the mother of his children. But Mother's Day should be orchestrated and organized and pushed by the children.
See, Len
making,
doesn't.
right? You're making
yes.
it the same.
Len doesn't see it that way. He doesn't see it as a burden. He doesn't see it like, well, it's not my responsibility. Or
but see, you're painting this negatively on me when it's not.
I'm just telling you that's not even a thing.
I know,
and
but
it's
not
not
for
a
me
thing
either,
for
though.
me.
It's
of
not
like,
for me either.
well, is it leveled off?
I'm not
it's
saying
just like,
burden.
oh, it's Mother's Day.
But I'm not saying burden. You can't say that because that's not what I'm saying.
Or responsibility.
Okay, because I use that word.
Right.
But
so it's like, oh, it's
correct me
Mother's
if I'm
Day.
wrong.
I'm so thankful.
He needs to make a big deal out of Mother's Day, your husband, and your kids need to make a big deal out of Mother's Day. Is that a fair assessment of your position?
Yeah.
And that's
And
okay.
you know
I
what?
don't think it's bad to say that. I just disagree with that.
You can disagree, especially because Sarah's your wife and it's worked for you. That's my first thing. You got to figure out what is it for your wife. If you love your wife and you know she has or she wants that or it's her love language or whatever, I think just out of love, not even out of like, oh, it's my responsibility, you would do that. You would be like, oh, it's a big deal for her and I am thankful, so whatever. That's number one. Number two, you brought up the cultural aspect. This isn't even a thing for me.
I didn't bring it up on the air.
You didn't bring it up on the air. It isn't even, and I'm not actually. I'm Hispanic all day long. I grew up in Hispanic churches, Latino churches. I'm from Dominican Republic. If Mother's Day in DR, love it. El Día de las Madres is the last Sunday of May. You look at the tone of the country, it is all about moms. Like, you get shout outs walking down the street. It's like a big deal. The tone has never been, well, you looking out for your mom? It's like we're celebrating moms. Like, that's what it is we're celebrating moms. So the whole idea of you get your mom and make sure you get your mom, it's not a thing. And so I grew up seeing my dad make a big deal of my mom and my grandmother, my mom's mom. He would take them out. He would get them flowers. It wasn't like, well, I'm going to get your mom, you get your mom. It was like, your moms, and I'm celebrating you. So he would take both of them out. His mom couldn't come to this country. It wasn't even like a thing. So maybe part of it's cultural. Callie wanted to give you a shout out, so I want to get back to Callie. She says she misses us. She's been homeschooling her oldest starting at 9, so she's been missing us. But then she said she likes your jacket.
Thank you.
She said, nice jacket. Look, I like your jacket, Brian.
It's more of a I'm too cold all the time thing than a fashion thing, but my wife picked it out.
It looks cute.
Nice. Thank you for that. By the way, First Lady Tanks is here.
Ooh.
Madam
I wonder
First
what
Lady,
she thinks about this.
Good to see you. I'd love to see her weigh in, but she just watches because I think she's mad at me for calling her First Lady.
Mike says, Mike says his comrade Fidel jacket.
Yeah,
It
Fidel
does like
Lord,
a Fidel.
his fatigues all the time.
Meredith says she thinks it depends on the age of the kids. Suzanne says, good morning to you both. It is the kids' responsibility, but dad should intervene depending on their ages.
Yeah,
so
and that's generally,
you.
Suzanne, my perspective, yeah.
Meredith says, well, maybe kids, even a teenager, needs a reminder that it's coming.
Oh, no, I totally
did.
agree.
Yeah.
I sent the text this morning to my children to remind them, especially as one of my kids made a big deal out of a little thing with her boyfriend where I'm like, are you kidding me? I looked at her and said, I can't wait for Father's Day. You just proved you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to be heavily involved as they get older.
Deborah says, I agree with Brian. Kids, when older, can always ask dad for help, but whatever works for the family. Many wives need or expect things from hubby. He is honoring her for being mom to their children.
Yeah.
Meredith, go ahead.
Well, I'd also say, like, some people presumed that my position implies that I'm apathetic and rude on Mother's Day, which is the furthest thing from the truth. I'm not apathetic and I'm not rude on Mother's Day. I love my wife so much and I'm so grateful for her, and I want to be sure she has a special day. You see, like, if we do this, it's the ad hominem attacks that come when you disagree with someone. It's like when you disagree with someone's essential position, you turn them into a monster. There are people on the air turning them into some kind of monster for simply having that basic position. They're like, oh, well, you just say rude things to your wife. You don't like your wife. You're not going to take care of your wife? Well, are you kidding me? She's married to me. Of course I'm going to.
Yeah.
It's an issue of primary responsibility. And it's almost as if it's a totally different holiday in our worlds. Because in your cultural reality, the husband and the children both need to make a big deal out of it. In my cultural reality, it's Mother's Day, and so therefore the children need to make the biggest deal out of it as they get older.
There was even...
So it's a different thing.
I remember certain years where Len would take out my mom, me, and his mom, all three of us, and all the kids to the restaurant. He wasn't tracking, well, that's your mom, what are you doing? He was celebrating moms. And so keeping track of that, I just don't get it.
I'm not keeping track.
To be like, is it leveled off or whose responsibility it is? Like I told you, the tone in my culture, Latino, not black, because I didn't grow up in the African American community, is we're celebrating mothers.
Right.
Not your mom, my mom. For example, my grandmother was very close to her sister. All the grandkids were celebrating both of them. It wasn't like, oh, that's your mom. And you celebrate moms. The women, they sit at the head table, whatever it is that you do. So that's the fact that it's even a discussion takes away from the feeling, because it's like, really, we're going to keep track of whose responsibility it is? That's like...
But that's turning into an equation when it's not an equation. It's not a... I mean, I'm not texting my kids, I don't want to deal with this crap again this year. I mean, I'm not doing that. That's not... It's the idea of who's the person who should be the most thankful on Mother's Day. It should be the children. Not actually, the husband.
Somebody texted in a funny text saying, we didn't ask to come, so really we got this all backwards. Like, it was like, I don't agree with that one, but it was like...
Well, technically, birthdays should be celebrating mom.
Right. Hello, thank you. Let me see, there was one... Meredith says, my husband says that I am the mother of the kids and he is grateful. So he loves doing something for me, and he helped the kids when they were younger, but since 5 and 6 are grown, they do something on their own.
Yeah.
Deborah says she also agrees with me. So my point is, she sees truth on both sides. Mm-hmm. Carmelita says, all the men and the kids all prepare dinner, clean up dinner for my mom and all of us moms, but we also let the kids know we need to cherish our mom all year long, not just on Mother's Day, because we're only given one mom. Amen. Meredith says, on a personal note, I enjoy how my husband acts about it, because growing up, my dad said I shouldn't have to because my mom wasn't his mom, if that is understandable. It broke my mom's heart every year.
Yeah, and see, that's, I think, the point. And that implication was made about me a number of times, that I'm sitting around going, I'm not your mom. And you're not my mom, or whatever. I mean, I might jokingly say that when we're talking about Mother's Day throughout the year, but I want to be sure my wife feels honored as a mother. So it's possible for one to hold a position in which they think that the children should be the ones pressing Mother's Day and making the big deal out of Mother's Day. You can have that position and also be a nice husband who loves his wife and honors her on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't automatically turn you into some sort of evil monster who's got his feet up on a recliner watching sports and drinking beer.
Yeah. Adrian says, as much as I appreciate the wonderful father my husband is, he is not my father, so I'm not responsible for his Father's Day. However, I do remind our grown children it is Father's Day and share with them ideas of things he's mentioned he'd like to have. When the children were young, I funded their Father's Day ideas, same for Mother's Day.
Now, Adrian brought up Father's Day, and I think that's fair because that's how Father's Day works.
Kathy says, mothers are important to a family. What would you do without her? Be appreciative.
Yeah, and see, I think you've heard me say this, right? Are people who are saying it's the kids' responsibility, Janelle, saying they don't appreciate their wives being the mother of their children? Is that what they're saying?
Is that who's saying? Somebody like in your position?
Yeah, so like if someone thinks kids should be primarily responsible for Mother's Day, they're not saying they don't appreciate their wives being the mothers of their children, are they?
No.
No, not at all.
Right.
In fact, the opposite's true. It's Mother's Day, is what they would say.
Yeah. Robert says, yes, Janelle, the point you're making is what I texted in. It's all Mother's Day. We celebrate all veterans, not just the ones we personally know. That's the way it's treated in my country and in my culture, and I love that because as a society, we should do that. We should be thankful for mothers. And that's the way, oh my gosh, if you guys, I wish you guys knew Spanish. The songs they play on the radio and just the message that comes out, it's very much about we love mothers and we're celebrating mothers, you know? Now, Len's African American and he's dealt with it that way. And so you guys can talk about that cultural aspect. I saw similarities, but I'm sharing what I saw growing up. And my dad and the way he treated my maternal grandmother, it was never about, like, he was just celebrating her and thankful that she raised his wife. Like, he was worried about him and what I'm thankful for about you as a mom. It wasn't about, like, oh, the kids or, you know, I don't know.
So you're saying, culturally speaking, like, your dad would celebrate the mom across the street he didn't know very well the same as his own mom.
The same, no, not the same.
Well, no, but it's about all moms, right? So I'm trying to figure out, there still has to be some priority for your own mother on Mother's Day in Latin America.
Yeah. Yeah, there is.
So it celebrates all moms, but generally speaking, you don't care about all moms, you care about your mom.
Right. I gave you an example. Like, Len would take all three, my mom, his mom, and me.
The moms in his life.
Right. And got us flowers. There was one time he got us flowers, got us frames. He did a whole setup. It wasn't tracking.
So
well, that's your mom.
Life. So it's the moms in his life, not all moms.
Well, yeah, that's not practical for a whole country to take everybody, all the moms out. I'm saying the idea is we're celebrating mothers.
I love and appreciate Rob. I love and appreciate Rob, but I don't think Veterans Day is a fair parallel.
Okay.
Because Veterans Day celebrates all people who've served our country in military.
Yeah.
Mother's Day is about you celebrating the mothers in your life. It is about all moms, generally speaking, yes, but it's personally in your own life. It's about your mom and the mothers in your life.
The mothers in your life.
And so saying it's about all moms is not necessarily true in a culture. Right? Okay. And it celebrates all moms generally. Hey, it's a day for moms.
You just said all the mothers in your life.
Like,
that doesn't line
Mom,
up.
I'll be back in an hour. I'm going to go celebrate all the moms on the street.
You're right. It's not the extreme. But it doesn't line up with what you said. You just said all the moms in your life. Versus, no, you celebrate your mom. That's who you're thankful for.
Well, again, you and I disagree on that concept necessarily. Right. Sure. I mean...
Look at Sara. Sara gets it because she's in Ecuador. She says, yes, Janelle, the midnight serenatas on Mother's Day. It is awesome, the attitude. And even within a family, the matriarchs within the family, you know, it's more than just your mom. And I brought up grandmothers. So if that's the case, my kids shouldn't celebrate Nana.
Yeah,
because that's not their mom.
I think it needs to be said. I think it's also beautiful and wonderful when children celebrate their mother.
Yeah.
Because what it sounds, I know you're my friend. It sounds like what you're saying is that it's better to celebrate your way. It sounds like that.
Okay.
I think it's beautiful when children honor their mothers.
Yeah.
And make it about their mom. I don't think it's wrong.
We can do.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's a good way to do Mother's Day.
We can do more than one thing at the same time.
Yeah.
So my kids can celebrate me. That's what Len does. He'll get his mom something special and give her a note and be thankful, and then celebrate the moms in his life. You can do like several things at one time.
I believe you can do several things at once. But what I'm trying to communicate is that I think if someone takes your approach to Mother's Day, it's wonderful and it's beautiful. And I think if somebody takes the approach that I'm talking about, others have shared with me, that children honor their mothers, I think that's beautiful too.
Right. The original question was, whose responsibility should it be? The message there is there's one answer. So there isn't. You're saying no. So there isn't one answer. There are different ways depending on your family, your culture, your right.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that it's beautiful to do it your way, and it's also beautiful to do it my way.
Right.
Excellent.
And we said during the show, I said, know your wife. Mm-hmm. So it will manifest itself differently in different families. You got to do what works for you.
I just thought it was interesting.
You can't just have a principle and say, no, well, it's about your kids. No, dude, check with your wife. Is she good? Or are you just going to walk around with a blanket statement like, this ain't my day, it's about my mom?
I mean, did you notice, though, that when I would bring up that I thought it was primarily the children's responsibility, I would get comments like, well, you don't appreciate your wife? Being the mother of your children? Right? I mean, that happened pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Do you see that that's not at all what the implication is?
Right.
In the
I do see
position
that.
I and others are portraying?
I do see that.
It's really an unreasonable thing to communicate, I think, actually.
Meredith says...
It doesn't imply lack of care for your wife as the mother of your children to say that your kids ought to be responsible primarily for
It
Mother's Day.
depends. Because I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying, make sure you check with that individual woman in your life. If she's like, wow, I really wanted something for you,
of course.
That's between you two. Like, make sure you check in. What does she need to feel loved? Meredith says, I miss doing something for my mom. I decided that I would do something for a mom I know every year in honor of her. And then Betty responded and said, yes, I have 2 elderly friends I do this for. Lisa Neville said, if it wasn't for Nana, there would be no Len. Brian?
Yeah, that's why Len should celebrate his mom. He does a great job doing it.
And the kids should celebrate Nana, even though it's not their mom.
Yeah,
they should celebrate Nana.
See, I've never said they shouldn't.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean, oh, okay? I never said they shouldn't. Lisa, I need some more mac and cheese, by the way. You make some really good mac and cheese.
Danae said, I agree with that. My dad says the same thing, that she's not his mom, so she agrees with you. And Sarah says, just celebrate. Another idea. A friend of mine gives her mom flowers on my friend's own birthday. She does it as a thank you to her mom for giving birth in that day and raising her. I love that idea.
I just know I've seen families where here's how Mother's Day works. Dad spends weeks sweating, feeling pressured, plans the whole thing, the kids show up.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not good.
You've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And so when I say, I know people don't like the word responsibility, but in that scenario, isn't that the only word you can use?
Yeah, but then there's a spectrum. There's my kids who go on their bikes and go and get gifts. My son, for my birthday on Saturday, my husband eventually told me the story. He's like pressuring him in the car. Bobby, we gotta go. You gotta take me to the store to get flowers. I went because he took his bike and rode to Walgreens, and he was like, they just got fake flowers at Walgreens. I want to get her fresh flowers. At the same time, Len was getting a cake. Len planned to go bike riding. You could all come together as a family, kids and whatever, and celebrate her in different ways. Like, Len's view is, man, I'm so thankful you're the mother of my kids and all your sacrifices. And they're like, thank you for being my mom. And they have fun planning it together. But it's not about, it's about y'all and I'll help you. It's like, no, we're all
Which there's nothing wrong with doing it that way, by the way. If that's
reasons.
good for your family, right?
Right.
No, but you don't agree with that. I
can
tell looking at your face.
Switching it. So then just admit that we're switching it. Because
no. What I'm trying to say is,
who's responsible? You wrote this.
Right.
Who's responsible for getting mom a gift? That's one answer.
You're actually wrote that, and I copied and pasted it.
Okay.
Technically. But you know, But what I'm trying to imply here is, when I gave you the example before, right, of, let's say you've got a family where dad's sweating it, doing almost all the work for it, and the kids are just showing up.
That extreme.
Is that comfortable?
Absolutely.
Are you comfortable with that?
That's not good.
What if the kids basically just sign a card that dad got, and they
that's
all
not
like
good. They should all. We should all be.
They're showing their appreciation to mom.
Yeah.
What's the core problem in that family dynamic?
That is falling all on the dad.
And so the only thing you can ask then is, whose responsibility is it if it's all on dad? You see how it becomes appropriate in that scenario to ask that? I know people are upset with the word appreciate, or responsible. But there are scenarios in which that's the only word you can possibly use. And you would agree with me that that's not a proper balance.
Yeah, it's not a proper balance. Rob says, what percentage or how much responsibility should the husband feel? I
don't want to play a numbers game because that's not appropriate. I think, but if I'm forced to play numbers, okay, it shouldn't be 50-50 with the kids. It shouldn't be.
Okay. Rob says, I feel my wife and mother should never feel I was the one who didn't acknowledge all that they do.
Okay, I agree, Robert, but you can defend me on this. Acknowledge. Have I ever implied that husbands shouldn't acknowledge their wives on Mother's Day?
Right. No, you haven't.
You see it keep coming up, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You do. You should feel bad for me, shouldn't you?
Not really. Meredith says, I agree with Brian. Kids need to be taught how to plan for moms and dads. If we teach them, then as they grow, they will remember how good it felt to bless them both, and then eventually take the lead the older they get. Jennifer says, this has been a topic of debate in my family for 9 years. My husband agrees with Brian, but I thoroughly disagree. I think both the hubby and the children should honor mom. My dad made sure we did for my mom, and he also did for her. Yeah, that's what I saw with my dad. He was amazing. And even as we got older, like, it had nothing to do with us. He was like, I'm doing my thing. Y'all could do your thing. But he was just like, he loved it. He enjoyed it. So maybe his love language, the way he expressed it, was just different. And Len's the same way. So,
but see, to your point on this, in Jennifer's situation, I think you and I would give her the same advice, or her husband the same advice. Mm-hmm. That in their family situation, even if he agrees with me on this, he ought to be making a big deal out of it because that's what she expects.
Yeah, absolutely. So there really is no one answer.
No.
It manifests itself differently in each family.
Of course it does. Yes, absolutely.
Betty says, good morning. Papi, I get it. Papi, dad, teaches the kids to value mom or mommy and shows them how to make this day special for her. And yes, when they're older, they will follow his example. He can remind the kids, yes, but they should take the initiative.
Yeah, and perhaps initiative's a better word. Do you like initiative better than responsibility? Or does that not change it substantively?
That's fine. I'm saying the way I saw it modeled for me, my initiative had nothing to do with my dad. He was like, yo, I want to get them flowers and I want to take them out to eat. So I can't help but seeing it independently. But he never looked at us and was like, okay, y'all going to take the initiative? He was doing his thing. He's like, yo, and he would take him out. There were Sundays he took him to Newport, and he was all about that. But it was not dependent on our initiative. If we needed help with our little plans, he'd be like, okay, cool. Robert says, no, that's not what I'm saying you said. I'm saying if my kids didn't do something, I'm going to make sure she never feels a year or day went by where gratitude was not shown.
Yeah, and I said the very same thing, Robert. Remember, I think part of Dad's responsibility is making sure that they're planning for it. He's part of it. But I like Betty's word initiative better.
Yeah, I like the way that sounds. Isaac says...
You seem so hesitant about it, though. You sound like the
initiative.
concept?
No, yeah, it's fine. But it's
is
like
that
Isaac.
Responsibility?
My problem with this conversation is what Isaac says. I think if you're honoring your parent or your spouse a chore or a requirement, then you're not doing it out of love and appreciation. The fact that we're even talking about it is like weird because it's like...
No, it's not weird,
it should just be like, oh my gosh, cool, it's Father's Day.
Like, okay, what if on a birthday we celebrate all birthdays?
Yeah.
Can we do that? Can we celebrate everyone's birthday on your birthday?
Right.
That's my point, is it's called Mother's Day.
Okay.
And so it's not Spouse's Day, it's not Friend's Day, it's not Sister's Day.
But you're saying for you, because you just said, well, don't you agree that you could do it differently? So it's not Spouse's Day for you. Other families are saying, no, it is about me because I'm thankful she's a mother.
But Isaac said if honoring your spouse is a chore. Well, I'm not talking about spouses because it's not Spouse Day.
The mother of your kids. That's the way some men look at it.
Well, that's good. But it's possible one could view that as not being Spouse Day.
Yeah.
Because if it's Spouse Day, then fathers get honored on Mother's Day too, because they're spouses too.
The mother
you see how ridiculous
of your
it
kids.
sounds?
The mother of your kids.
But on birthdays, do we celebrate one person or all birthdays?
I think whatever. I think at the end of the day, you do what works. It's worked for my dad.
You said
whatever
and for because it's a good argument.
Okay. Gary says he probably agrees with you. Husbands should make it a group project for getting mom a card and flowers with kids 12 and under. Let the kids help pick out a card, and the same thing for the flowers. That makes them putting in effort. Yeah. So it's kind of like what you're saying.
I'm with Gary.
Jennifer says Mother's Day is honoring the mothers in your life. Amen, sister.
But
it is
you see where it's a philosophical difference.
And that's okay. But you just said it's not this. Don't tell people what it is. People have been doing this for years and making it all about all the mothers they know. And it's worked for them.
No, I'm not.
We can't make a blank statement. You're like, it's not Spouse's Day. Len would look at you and be like, it is about my spouse because she's the mother of my kids.
Okay.
And nobody's wrong. You're not wrong, and he's not wrong. Right. I think you mentioned, which I appreciate, it's like, maybe it's a cultural thing. Or maybe it's the way you grew up and the stuff you saw. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but see, what's fascinating about this discussion is that the whole time I've said what your perspective is, as a whole, is wonderful.
Yeah. You have.
And then what happens then in turn is that everyone shows how my perspective is inherently evil or majorly flawed or unloving or uncaring.
Yeah. And
so that's what the debate becomes about.
Yeah.
I've never implied that the way you do it's wrong.
You said it shouldn't be that way. You said
I think if a
be that way.
husband wants to do that for his wife, the mother of his children, why wouldn't he do that?
Right,
That's
right,
a great idea.
Right.
It's never a bad idea to honor the mother of your children.
Yeah.
Never a bad idea.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing is I'm trying to defend a position that's being demonized.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not happening to your position.
I'm fine. You could demonize it, but I'm
But I'm not, though. That's the thing. I'm having to defend that it's not unreasonable.
Okay.
Well, no, but I'm having to defend that it's not unreasonable to think that the kids should be the ones taking the primary initiative on Mother's Day.
Sarah says, the point about knowing your wife is really important. Yes. The one day a year I refuse to eat out is Mother's Day. My husband's birthday is always right around or on Mother's Day. We eat out for his birthday, and I cook my own awesome meal on Mother's Day. But everyone helps get things done and do all the cleaning.
Yeah, Sarah hates going. She'll say to me, "I don't want to go on Mother's Day. It's too busy." Yeah.
And Valentine's is the same way.
Oh yeah.
But we're agreeing that it's about knowing your wife and knowing, like, do what works for your family. And Betty reiterated and said, "You're right."
Yeah,
and
because
she's bringing around initiative and the word and saying shows their desire to plan and honor her.
But see, the reason it got super intense is because I was put in the position where it made husbands look like jerks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a fair representation of the position on this side of the table at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah?
I agree.
Begrudgingly?
No, I agree. I think you got to do what works for you. What you've been doing has been working for you, and I think you should keep it up. I don't think we should set a rule on who's responsible based on what we just said. Depends on.
And I'm with Betty that initiative's better.
Okay, good. And Rob is thanking you for your thoughts.
Oh, Rob, you know you're my favorite. Rob and I are buddies.
Oh my gosh.
Rob always spices up the discussion. I appreciate that about you, Rob.
Mike is saying Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. Betty, you were bringing up mommy and papi. My kids, there's like a rule that Janelle sets in her house. They have to call me mommy. And so as they get old, because mommy is mom. It's like almost the equivalent of mom in Spanish. And so as they get older and they hear their friends calling their mom's mom, they call me mom. I'm like, I am not American. You call me mommy. And they're like, mommy, that sounds like mommy in English. So I love that Betty's like, oh, mommy and papi.
Gary,
Jennifer says we don't go out either. We pick out, take out. Oh, that's cool. Go ahead, Brian. And
yeah,
Isaac is looking out for you. Look at that.
Well, we'll get to that second. Gary says, may the 4th be, yes, may the 4th be with you, sir.
Yeah, cool.
And Mike says he thinks men feel embarrassed if their children don't step up. Yeah, I think they do. And that's why they feel the pressure. What's Isaac saying?
Isaac is saying, I see Brian's position being misunderstood when in actuality he's saying that it shouldn't be on fathers to make it seem like the kids appreciate the mom rather than the kids need to take the responsibility of their own appreciation towards their mom.
Well said, Isaac. That's what I'm trying to imply.
Okay, go ahead.
And throughout the radio show and a lot of this, it was painted into rude, mean husbands who tell their wives they don't matter.
Yes.
And that's just not at all what I was saying.
Yes. Sada says, Janelle, my 6'3" athlete son calls me mommy. I love it. It's the best.
He better.
My kids better call me mommy. They can't, so they do. They call me mommy. And people think they're crazy. But you and I know, Sada and Betty. Jennifer says, tell your kids it's okay to use mommy, even if it sounds like mommy. I'm almost 40 and I still call my mom mommy. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, no. I
call my mom mommy.
The first time I saw this, I was at a convention and the guy I was working for, the radio host, was doing 2 different interviews of Billy Graham's daughters. He interviewed Anne Graham Lotz privately and Ruth Graham.
Oh, cool.
And they both called him daddy.
Oh my gosh.
Not like in a sweet moment, but like when they would refer to him, he was daddy. And I heard that and I was like, that's what I want.
Oh yeah.
I keep telling my daughters. And
oh, that's cool.
when they want something, they call me daddy.
Yeah.
But I think it's real sweet. Yeah.
Len loves it. Even though he's not Latino, all the kids and the girls call him papi, and he loves it. Meredith says, you guys are awesome. I love you. I have to run. Have a fantastic day. We love you, Meredith. And
whoa, Dee Dee.
I'm 30 and I still call my mommy, mommy. Yeah, D.
Keep it up, DD.
Strong women call their moms mommy, or they can. Some people think it's weak.
She is way younger than you.
And stronger. She's strong.
She's so strong.
Can we just say, wait. We love Brian, and he has a big heart, and he's a great dad and a great husband. This was just a conversation.
Unless some people that texted, they would tell you the opposite. But whatever. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.